Now, the World Economic Forum is 50 years old this year, but its golden anniversary wasn't bigger and better than ever before. With the coronavirus pandemic making in-person gatherings a no-go, world leaders came together over the internet instead. As well as driving the forum online, the virus also dominated its agenda.
Davos hasn't been this quiet in decades. No signs of the usual hustle and bustle. Instead, a thick blanket of snow. The locals like it that way. I enjoy it. There are no gradings, there is little traffic, it is quiet, there's fewer guests. I would be happy to not have the WEF here anymore.
Everything is open, no security checks, a lot less people. Of course I like it.
What the locals enjoy, however, is a painful sign of what has happened to the world over the course of the past year. Online, world leaders offered their plans and solutions with regards to the ongoing pandemic and stressed that international cooperation is key to overcoming the crisis. China will continue to take an active part in international cooperation on COVID-19. Containing the coronavirus is the most pressing task for the international community.
We need to choose a multilateral approach. A self-isolating approach won't solve our problems. We see that, first of all, in the question of vaccination, since it's the root out of the pandemic.
We are all not safe if some countries are vaccinating their people and other countries are not vaccinating. We all must act together in combating coronavirus because it affects all of us equally.
Working together across the globe, an event streamed on the World Wide Web might be a good start. And yet, there is hope that the forum can return to its usual grounds again.
Well, joining us from Davos is Adrian Monck, Managing Director of the World Economic Forum. Welcome to DW Business. I mean, we heard some of the world leaders there that cooperation, particularly when it comes to vaccines, is going to be a key way of getting out of this pandemic. Do you get the impression from what you've heard this week that there is a consensus building on how to do that?
Thanks for that. I'm actually in Geneva, where the World Economic Forum spends about 360 days of every year. So Davos is just somewhere we go for 1 week of the year. I think what you've seen in Davos this week is nearly 30 world leaders, heads of state, coming together to tell you what they're going to be doing in 2021 to ensure that the virus can be brought under control. And that really does mean vaccines. That also involves some of the major vaccine producers. And having this opportunity at the beginning of 2021 to really bring all those people together, have some of the conversations, both publicly and privately, is a really, really important move. And that's something we've been able to do with this virtual Davos in a way almost unparalleled. I mean, it's almost been easier to coordinate some of those conversations online than in real life.
There's also a lot of insistence that any pandemic recovery has got to be sustainable. From what you've been hearing, are you confident that there's going to be a concrete effort to actually bring that about?
What we've seen this week is something like 50 different measures from businesses and governments that have been coordinated both publicly and behind the scenes here online. And, you know, one of the major announcements really speaks to that exactly, which is this announcement on so-called ESG measures. That's environmental, social and governance measures. You've got 60 of the world's biggest businesses and corporations coming together to actually do something to track how they make an impact on society, on the environment, and on the way they do business. And that kind of move, I think, is pushing us in the right direction so that when we come out of this crisis, we're not going to be left with the same old rule book that got us here in the first place.
A big change since the last forum, which a lot of people will remember, is the man in the White House. Do you think that having Joe Biden as President of the United States has made the tone somewhat different this year?
A new administration means big changes for everyone. And, Joe Biden is no stranger to the World Economic Forum. He's been with us as vice president a couple of times. He's been to other meetings that we've held around the world. So, we know the president and, we're looking forward to working with him. We had John Kerry, his climate czar, speaking this week on the plans that the United States has to really get back behind the wheel in terms of driving the agenda on climate change. So I do think there's a whole number of different ways in which this administration will make a difference. But it's not just the US. I think one of the things we've seen through the crisis is that every single major economy has a role to play. And I think hearing from those leaders and seeing that we're now in very much a multipolar world has been a big part of what Davos this week online has been about.
Yes, it has been online. It's been without the private jets and all the trappings of a usual Davos. A greener Davos this year? Could this online WEF be here to stay?
Funnily enough, you say that, but actually private jet traffic into Davos is no more than during a busy week in Zurich Art Fair. In actual fact, emissions in Davos, the town, go down during Davos week. So the air is cleaner, purer, and nicer when we're in town than when the locals are left to themselves with buses, cars, and everything running through the center of their lovely alpine town. But it has made a difference to us in one very important way. It's enabled us to bring in many, many more people into these conversations. And, the impact online has been enormous. It's something like 5 or 10 times the number of people who normally join. And the World Economic Forum has something like 30 million followers across social media. That number has gone exponentially higher this week. So it really has been, for us, a fantastic experiment, not one we planned for, but nonetheless a great experiment in bringing in new voices and really sharing what we're doing online.
Adrian Monck, Managing Director of the World Economic Forum. Thank you for joining us on DW Business.
Thanks very much.